They got problems on problems on problems on problems on problems on problems. I solve them. I run through the money. The pressure be calling. Left on my blessings. I feel like I'm falling. The birdie is back. Tell me I'm garbage. I'm going through something. That's why I ain't calling. Phone and progression. It's all that I wanted. The phone and affection. I summon and dub it. Cause they got problems on problems on problems on problems on problems on problems. I solve them. I run through the money. The pressure be calling. Left on my blessings. I feel like I'm falling. The birdie is back. Tell me I'm garbage. I'm going through something. That's why I ain't.
What it do, family? You're listening to the Urban Sports Scene. I am Wole, and I'm your host. And usually I would say it's Commanders Friday, but it's not Friday. It's like late night with the Urban Sports Scene, so you know what it is. But obviously, there's we did this show because one of my favorite Washington Redskins, I'm gonna call him that because that's what under that time when he played for this team, that we're going by that name. So I can't call him a Commander. I think that's kind of phony. I won't lie to you all. You all listen to me. I gotta give you all the real. But he was one of my favorites. He passed away over the weekend. We talking about Tre Johnson. Tre Johnson was like when we lost like the Hogs and I'm gonna get into it with my guest because my guest knows about Tre Johnson. When we lost the Hogs, that era of that era of Washington football offensive lineman, we drafted that dude and he instilled what being a Hog was all about. His physicality, the way he played football. It was like, who was this? Like, I remember the draft, and it was like, who is this second round pick we picked up? From Temple. It was like, all right. And then when you see him play, you just automatically fell in love with him. But we're gonna talk about that, man. First off, R.I.P. Tre Johnson, dope, one of the dope players in terms of your fandom of being a Washington Commanders Redskin fan. Like he was one of them, like one of I think the fans' favorite players. Period. But before we talk about that and dive into it, subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, tune in, iHeartRadio, and other podcast platforms. Just search the Urban Sports Scene. Make sure you subscribe to the Urban Sports Scene YouTube channel. If you're in the YouTube chat, we accept super chats. Super chats help us support our show. The super chats will be prioritized over all comments in the chat. Don't forget to tweet us at Urban Sports Scene. Hit us up on IG and TikTok at Urban Sports Scene and like our Urban Sports Scene Facebook page. You can also join our Urban Sports Scene Facebook group. Just search Urban Sports Scene, sports bloggers, sports podcasters, and sports debates. All right, it's time for the pregame. Here's what we have on tap. Like I said before, we're going to have a dope guest, somebody I haven't had on the show for a while, but I'm happy to have her back because she's one of my favorites. You already know, so I'm not going to gas it up. Tony McGee's Pro Football Plus Commanders reporter Donna Hopkins will join me to talk about, again, former Washington Redskin Pro Bowl offensive guard Tre Johnson, who passed on Sunday. All right, let's not waste any time. Let's dive right into it. Joining me is one of my favorites. You already know, Miss Donna Hopkins. How are you doing, Donna?
Hey, Wally, I did like this. I was like, I haven't heard it in a minute.
Donna.
So I got a little salty.
She did. Like, she told me, she put, Donna off the rip came and told me, like, look, I haven't talked to you in such a long time. Like, she said I ghosted her. Like, I would ghost Donna, like, for real, me of all people.
I almost ran over and got my hat on it because I was like, oh, no, I didn't have my hat on, too. but I was like, no, I might trip over something. And then I come back and it's like, what happened? But I was like, okay, no cap today.
No cap.
Yeah. Finally, late night with Wally.
Finally, we're back, Donna. Like call it the dynamic duo. Finally, we're back. We're back. We're here, Donna. We're all together. You know what I'm saying? You can't beat it. You can't beat fist bump. Well, yeah, Donna, like, I mean, obviously, this is like, I vibe you. I think you're awesome. But obviously, this is like at a sad time. This is a guy who, in Tre Johnson, who a lot of Commander fans, Redskin fans, grew up really in terms of that dicey time in terms of transitioning from the Joe Gibbs era of winning and then during that middle era with Norv Turner and but Tre Johnson was like that little bright sunshine of light in terms of how he played football. You got to, first off, when you heard the news, what came to your mind?
I was like, say it ain't so. I was like, no way. I mean, I was messed up. I said, thank God you didn't hit me up a day or two ago because I would have been no good. I was an emotional wreck. I can only imagine his wife Irene, who I know also. I can only imagine them. If I was a wreck, they were probably just totally ran over by a truck. But it was surprising because when you have just talked to someone recently. You know, he was on Tony McGee's Pro Football Plus.
Yeah.
Each year, a couple of times, I'll call him up. I say, "Hey, Tre, can you be on?" "Oh, yeah," because I appreciated his knowledge and his analysis and how he brought it to you as far as with his New York flavor.
Mm-hmm.
He had that swagger.
He did.
And if you notice, it was almost like an artist talking football, rapping to you, that New York style.
Mhm.
That's what I appreciated, because he was up on football, unlike some people who finish playing the game and they walk away from the game and they don't really watch it that much anymore. But Tre basically watched the game. He analyzed the game, and you could tell he, outside of football, he went into teaching.
Yeah, which is dope.
And, his love for outside of football, teaching and all of that. But what people don't realize about Tre is he was so smart as an individual.
Mm-hmm.
Football player, people could have, if you knew him, you could appreciate it. His educational background and his, getting the higher degrees, masters and all that, because he loved knowledge. And you could tell that. The fact that he wanted the Redskins name changed because he thought it was derogatory. So he fought for that. And like you said, it was the end of the Joe Gibbs era. It was the end of Jack King Cook also as far as ownership. And so when you look at Tre, he came from a background of athletes. His father, his grandfather, his father played in the ABA. He played basketball. So,
did he? Okay, I didn't know that. Okay.
So I was looking up some stuff on Tre as far as a little bit more about his background. And I said, wow, he came from a wealth of athletes. His father played for the New York, I think it was the Nets. American Basketball Association, and his dad played in the Negro Baseball League. So when you go back and look at, why he's great, and then not only that, his kids are in sports, because I see Tre with his kids being in football as far as lacrosse. They were athletes, and he was passionate about following them. But to know Tre is to know how great of an individual he was outside of football. Football was just one aspect. He played for a short time. He was injured a lot.
I know.
But the great thing about Tre is when you look at him as a football player, and like you said, he came along after the Hogs. Too bad he didn't play with the Hogs. But
I wish he did.
During the time that he came along, the offensive line was okay.
Yeah.
Because he was Gray Brown and Raleigh McKenzie and all of those guys were back in, they were the starters, and Tre was coming in after them. And then the Chris Samuels and Tre there together. So it was unjusted. It was kind of like sad, the fact that they weren't doing that era of the Hogs, because if you think about a Tre, you think about a Chris Samuels, you'd be like, oh, you're just licking your lips.
Yep.
Because the thing about we look at it as an offensive line is the depth. Not only just starters, but those teams had depth. And when Tre came along, this was, this was the era of the big offensive linemen, the guys that it was going to be hard to get around. And the great thing about Tre is that he played left guard and right guard.
Yes.
That's what you look for, is players that can play multiple positions. And he played both of those positions until they drafted
was it Dockery?
No, John Jansen.
John Jansen tackle. Yeah.
They drafted him, and then he played on the right side, and then played on the left. But the beauty of it is when you have injuries across the offensive line, you want someone that can play multiple positions. And that's what's missing a lot in these days, in this era, is it's one-dimensional. But when you can get that, and Tre was one of those physical guys. He came at you. I was looking at a film the other day when Brad Johnson was the quarterback, and then Tre was in there protecting his quarterback
all the time.
Accidentally hit a official. He was, accidentally. But that, like you said, that was during the Norv Turner period time frame. And I just think that if he had been with another group of guys or whatever, where they were solid all the way across, you would have seen his talent come out so much more. But I love Tre. I love covering him, when he played with the Washington Redskins. And I'm glad that you shouted that out.
Yeah,
it wasn't the Commanders. Let's stay with the era that he was with.
Yeah.
It was the Washington Redskins. And the thing about it is that he just, you can appreciate offensive linemen because you're going to get the truth from them. What you see is what it is. You talk about offensive linemen, everyone that I've covered in that time frame and now, if you want a good sound and whatever and the truth, go to an offensive lineman.
No, I totally agree. And something you said, like, that's what when I look at, it's crazy because when I look at Tre Johnson, I look at a guy that, to me, it's like it's almost like, I wish, to your point, I think you said something so true. I wish he had played in a different era of winning in a different era, and the team was like more consistent. Because I looked at him as a guy who could have been like a Hall of Famer. Like, that's how much I like Tre Johnson and how good he was. I'm not just saying that because we just lost one and we all have to give, like, we're all giving out positive, reinforcements or whatnot. I mean, I truly mean this because, like, in his time frame, like, he was always one of the best guards in football. Like, when he's healthy, like, John Madden used to love Tre Johnson. Like, he would talk about Tre Johnson every time he did a game. Like, he would be like an all Madden type of player for John Madden. Like, when this team was bad, like, he would talk about Tre Johnson. Tre Johnson to me was always the bright spot on that offensive line. Like, when you're running like counter Tre or counters, Tre Johnson's that one that's moving because he was athletic too. And he would like when you run behind Tre, you were getting yards. Like, that's how good Tre Johnson was at that position. So, like, yeah, I just feel like, and I wish he was involved a lot more with the organization. Obviously, with, the former owner and whatnot, that wasn't a thing with him. But I wish he was involved a lot more with this organization.
That's all right. He was involved with us.
Yeah, he was y'all. Yeah, facts.
And a lot of people said that they wish that the former players were, that the organization embraced them a little bit more because for them not to embrace Tre Johnson, it's a disservice because the knowledge that he has, just the way he broke down the game and understanding the game, and like you said, the era he played in and the way he played the game, like you said, he was fast. If you watched his feet work and everything, you were not, because you think about it, he led the way and they ran behind him and you were not going to get around them. They just did a great job of just protecting. Like I said, during his era, they were okay, but I think he would have been the Pro Bowls, a lot more Pro Bowls if he could have stayed healthy, but he didn't. His career was, hammered by injuries and so forth. But again, he battled for basically his career. And a lot of people don't know that he played for Cleveland Browns for a year before coming back to Washington. So he went out there, tasted that. He's like, let me come on back home. But I think that more so, if I was to describe him, it's not so much the football end of it, it's getting to know him as a person, because when he was on the show each year, and I would grab him a couple of times because I was like, you know what, he's going to bring it strong. And as far as he was talking about this last year when we played the Raiders, the Commanders played the Raiders, and he was talking about the offensive line and how good it was to be able to have Laramie Tunsil. He thought that was a good addition. And then also he talked about the health of Jayden Daniels is the key for this team to go overall. So just the way, like I say, he broke down the game, and that accent, that New York accent, just added a little bit more. I just enjoy. I wanted to be there by myself talking to him because he was entertaining too. But I can only imagine him in the classroom teaching those kids, and the knowledge and the passion that he brought to the classroom just like he did on the football field. A lot of people, if you got to know him, you would be saying, man, this dude is smart. This guy is well educated. And he was at the next level, I think, of knowledge, education, and all of that in what he wanted to bring to the classroom after football. So, I mean, he was a great person. I mean, he was a kind-hearted person. I mean, he gravitated towards people, wanted the best out of, to give himself to helping the community and so forth. And so it was I was for the last couple of days, I said, what a tragedy at 54.
I know.
To lose a person. I always say he was cheated out of life. And I know that after your assignment is over, it is what it is, but he definitely is gone too soon as far as what he, just gave to all of us that knew him.
No, I agree. I think I'm with you. I think it's just too soon. He was a guy, like, I think I've seen him from a distance, and I always wanted to walk up and say, "Hey, Tre," because again, because it's my fandom. Like, you know what? That's like in the time, like, it's part of my fandom. That around the time of his glory, it's like I was just getting ready to graduate high school to get into college, and that was where the point where Washington finally, with Brad Johnson and that unit, finally get back to the postseason. The line looks good. They played. Stephen Davis is the best, one of the best running backs in the NFL. And and that line is cored by Tre Johnson. Like, it is Tre Johnson that's leading the way. Why this team is looking that well in the run or even the pass protection, it's Tre Johnson. So he's just a guy that I looked at and was like, yeah, he was one of my favorite linemen, period. Like, when we talk about, for me, and I can't speak for everybody else, for me and when I look at offensive linemen from the Washington Redskins, Commanders, whatever, it's always like Jim Lachey. It's Ray Brown, like you mentioned. It's Russ Grimm. It's
just say the Hogs.
Yeah, the Hogs. But Samuels, you know what I'm saying? Like Chris Samuels, Trent Williams, and it's John Jansen is one. And it's Tre Johnson. Jim Lachey. Yeah, it's all of them. But it's Tre Johnson. Like Tre Johnson's in that list to me. Like, for me, in my when I started watching football, those are the linemen that stood out to me, and Tre Johnson's in that list. Like, because of anybody embodied like being a Washington Redskin. Like, to be honest with you, embodied that grunt style of what we were. What this community has been based on, and watching that O-line, the physicality, the mauler. Like, it was him. Like, he embodied it. Some guys were probably better in their position, but in terms of embodying the whole Hogs mentality, it was Tre Johnson. He embodied it.
Hey, I'm looking at that picture that you got up right now. Look at his shoulders up at the top. The power, as far as his hands. A lot of times they said that offensive linemen learning how to pretty much use their hands, and when you look at his frame and everything, coming from Temple and drafted, and I think he should have been drafted even earlier than what he did. I
agree.
But he fell in the Commander's lap, so I'm okay with that.
It was a steal. Definitely was a steal.
Because I always tell people offensive linemen are hard to come by. Yeah. And when you look at Tre, I said, the shoulders, the thickness up there, and just like I said, you weren't getting around him. No. And everybody thinks that even if an offensive lineman is big, he was physical and he was fast, like you said. He get out there on that counter trade, blocking and whatever. He's steady. That's what I think that's missing sometimes now is that when you look at the blocking, even though their offensive line wasn't the Hogs, but they were still pretty good. Just the way that they're blocking, because I always say that if you're going to win the battle on the offensive line, you got to be the aggressor. You can't be the ones that's being pushed back around. Agreed. But that group, you weren't going to push them around because Ray Brown, like I say, he was still in there. Raleigh McKenzie was still in there. Yep. Jansen was just coming along, and then you had Chris Samuels. So you had some big names in there, but unlike the Hogs, they were like all the way across the line. Yeah. I mean, you just had the cream of the crop right there. But still, the time that he played, the years that he played for the Redskins, is that his name is out there as far, and if he could stayed away from injuries, I mean, you would have saw this guy really, when we did see him, he was just explosive offensive lineman. But again, like I said, more, 1999 Pro Bowl, and then he was a second team All-Pro also. But again, it was the person that people didn't get to know outside of football. You were cheated if you didn't.
I totally agree. So, like Donna, you're in touch with like that community that knows him. What was their reaction in terms of like the loss to Tre Johnson?
Yeah, Leslie Shepard, wide receiver, was doing that time frame, and him and Tre was really close, and all the guys, the Ray Browns, I heard them talking about him, and even Darryl Green. I looked at a picture that he was lifting him up in the air. So everybody, I think, talking to the players that knew him and media that covered him during that time, everybody was devastated. It's one thing. I mean, I know that he had been sick and dealing with health issues. And I didn't even know when he was on the show that he was dealing with those. But nobody thought that we were going to lose him in, with those challenges. And I remember Christmas time when he had posted on social media about being in the hospital, and his family came there and decorated his hospital room, and they had Christmas there with him. So everybody that covered him, that played with him, that I've talked to, everybody is pretty devastated that, wow, didn't see this coming. I think that's the thing that hurts the most, is knowing that somebody has been sick for a long time, but not thinking that they were going to pass away and it just happened out of nowhere. You think he was down there with his kids doing what he loved most, supporting them, and all of a sudden, he doesn't make it back. And I think that's the shocking thing, is for someone to have talked to him or been around him and not ever thinking that this person is not going to be with us. And that's the reason why I always say that it's important to, pick up the phone, and if that person drops in your heart or in your spirit, pick up that phone, because you just never know about life. Life is so precious. And again, I'm still having a hard time accepting it, because it seems like it's an unreal thing. It seems like I can pick up that phone and dial his number and say, hey, can you be on the show? Or, that's what or hit him up on social media. I think it's still hard that I'm still grasping the fact that he's no longer with us, but his legacy lives on through his kids and his family, because let me tell you, you're going to hear a lot from them as far as his kids and being in sports and lacrosse, because they've already been making a lot of noise as far as what they're going to do as far as the athletic in college, and probably on beyond that. But the sports world, people who played for him, they're still numb right now, because you're still trying to accept that you're not going to see this person anymore.
Yeah, it sucks, man. It does. It definitely does suck. We have comments. My man, light skin Lou 74. What's going on? Lou said, "R.I.P. Big Tre." We have comments here like, eyes.
He truly will be missed.
He will be missed. Yeah, definitely. True be told, what's going on? Says Tre used to get his man every Sunday. Peaceful transition, no more pain. Peace to the Redskins clan. Totally agree. We are devastated. He wanted to see his freshman son play his first home lacrosse game in Hampton U. Oh yeah,
and that's where he was when he passed away. They're supporting, but you know what? If you have to go, at least you're going. He went doing something that he loved, supporting his child in sports, but still devastated. And I'm like I said, the family to me is in shell shock, just like the rest of us is. That even though if a person is sick and Tre had been trying to get healthy, back on his feet, exercising, all those things. They said doing, I read something about, doing when he was at school at lunchtime, he would hit the track, get the stuff in. But again, I'm going to remember him more so of the person that he was, and more so than just the football. And in watching him and covering him his whole career, but it's the person that I got to know later on in life, as far as when he came on the show, when I talked to him outside of that. And I think, like I said, it's tough to have just seen a person to think that you can just pick up the phone and call them again. But I do like the love that's being poured out on social media towards his family, and everybody is showing the highlights of when he played, talking about the impact he had outside of football. And just, I was listening to Brian Mitchell on his show, just, talking about the person Tre was, while he, football wise. And it's fun to hear the guys talk about their teammate, and you hearing a little bit more about them personality wise.
Yeah.
And no. And that's the thing I like to hear, is the things that I may not know about him that you be like, oh man, yeah, I can see that. So again, I love, how everybody is pouring out in remembering the great player and the person that Tre Johnson was. So number 77.
Definitely. His wife, this is his wife, Irene, actually. She's in the chat. Thank you for pulling up. I prayers to you and your family. Seriously, I really
most
mean that.
definitely
Prayers
most
out,
definitely.
man. Like prayers out. Because he's touched, as in terms of me growing up and my fandom, he touched me. Like, and without even knowing him personally, just as somebody just watching him play football, you felt the spirit. You know what I mean? Like, I think there's anything. You felt the spirit, the passion to play. Like, he cared about being a player here. You know what I mean? Like, that's what, as any fan watching this team, like, you want your players to have like that spirit of being happy to be a Washington Redskins commander, whatever. Like, you want your player to have that passion. He had it. He had it thoroughly. So he's definitely one of my favorites. I'm not just saying that just to say it. I'm being honest. Like, I had texted my friends when it happened, because we all like around that same time frame, and we were like, dang, man, like, he's like one of my favorites. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's one of my favorites. So yeah, gone
and
way
he
too soon.
loved playing here. That's the thing.
He
Like
did.
you said, he loved playing here, but even more so, like you said, I think that, as they said, just a great human being.
Yeah.
And I think that's, like I said, that I pretty much like to, iterate even more.
Please, Donna.
To know him as a football player is one thing, but to know him as a person that was entrenched in the community, that's what you loved even more so about him, in what he did outside of football and what he continued to do once he finished playing football. And like I said, can you only imagine those kids that were in his classroom?
Oh my God.
And what they got out of him as a teacher. Like I said, he was so colorful as an analysis, giving me the analysis of games and whatever. So I can only imagine being in the classroom as a student and him teaching you what you were going to impart, that because he was imparting the classroom part, but he was imparting the life skill part that you would never get, if you wouldn't have had the experience that he had in life. So again, he's going to be totally missed. And like I said, I'm still devastated, and not being able to, call him to come on the show and everything. But he will, as I said, I posted a lot on social media. I tried to go back and post videos that he was on there with. I was trying to find everything, because just to be able to hear his voice, not just a picture, but to hear his voice, it kind of like was comfort to just hear him, when he was on the show the last time. But, like I said, I love the outpouring of love that he's getting and his family is getting. So Again, I was a big fan of him, covering him as the Washington Redskins, because to me, that's when that team was really, I mean, you know, if you played in that era of football, it was something special about playing in that era. And like you say, he was just, Coach Gibbs was just going out, Jack couldn't cook, but still it was in that area that people just embrace the team because of maybe being the Redskins, Washington Redskins, and all of that. But it was just a different time, and you could just feel the players. You know, it's hard to explain.
I know you're talking about. You got to be it. You had to be there.
Yeah, it's hard to explain unless you were back there with these players.
Because not like today's fans. Like I know what you're saying. It's like it's different.
Yeah, because again, offensive linemen, Tre, and all those offensive linemen. If you wanted true comments, you went to the offensive lineman, and he always gave you honest, upfront answers. So I would gravitate towards all of them. And you know, once you cover a team for a long time, you get to know the players even better. And that's the reason why I stay connected with the former players a lot, because I think during that era, you really got to know them well, and they became family. And so, like I said, he was a part of Tony McGee's Pro Football Plus family each year. I would probably call him up twice during the year. I almost wanted to have him on all the time, share him with other people. But again, he brought such great knowledge as far as just breaking down the game. So again, totally going to be missed. And like I said, again, he came from a great family of athletes, father, grandfather. And then he basically raised with his wife a great group of legacies moving on as far as that. But again, he will forever be missed, but never forgotten.
Definitely. Telly has a question. And I'm gonna tap into something you just said too. I think that's a dope point to make too. Telly asked the question. Donna, is there anyone on this team currently that reminds you of Tre? RIP to the Big Smooth.
Laramie Tunsil. I mean, literally, he called out Laramie Tunsil's name when he was last on the show. And I think he called him out because if you look at Laramie Tunsil's game and the way he plays the game, the dominance in his position, I think that you can pull from Laramie Tunsil a lot. And just the way, because I watch both of them, I watch how Laramie talks and that swagger that he has. Those two players could be best buddies.
They could be best friends.
Yeah, they could, because that swagger, Tre with that New York swagger, and Laramie has that skill. They got that kind of like skill set as far as they're dominant in their position. So I would pull from Laramie Tunsil even more so, because Tre talked about him a lot on the last show as far as that was a good acquisition by the Commanders in getting him, and he thought that he was going to add so much value to that team, which he definitely did. He had a solid year for the Commanders, so that's who I would kind of like probably pattern him after, just because of personalities too, as far as how they carry themselves.
Yeah, I just think, that's a good one. I'm trying, like, it's hard because it's hard for me to find somebody, like you're saying, the swagger. Now, we haven't had a person, this is the thing, I mean this in the most positive way, period. We ain't have a lot of people nasty like Tre.
Laramie is quiet, whether people know it or not. He's really quiet. Tre was quiet.
He was nasty though. Tre was nasty.
He was nasty, but he was quiet. He was that gentle giant.
Yeah, but Tre, like, I don't know if there's anybody. I mean, I'm trying, and this doesn't mean as good as players are or whatnot. But damn, if it's somebody you want in the fox pit, in the foxhole with, you want to go to war with, like how we had B Mitch, like the same type of mentality, right? B Mitch is like, he'll take you all on, right? He'll take them all on back then, right? Trey had that same edge on the football field. You can see it.
Definitely.
The person, I know what I'll say. There's one person he's not here. He's not here. He's with the San Francisco 49ers. His name is also starts with a T. Trent Williams and Tre Johnson have very similarities to me. They are very similar in terms of mentality. Yeah, like I think Todd, you beat me to it. Like you said, same thing. Like Trent Williams and Tre Johnson are very similar to me because they were like, you ain't messing with nothing. You're not getting over on them. Like if you're in the way, we're here to put you on your butt. Like
I'm coming after you.
I'm coming after you. That's what I mean. Like we don't. And I'm trying to think. And I've always said like Washington has been blessed over the years, unless a couple of in between years. But they've been blessed with some dominant offensive linemen, right?
Yeah.
From the time you covered this team, right? They've been, and I'm trying to think in that, like since Trey, like a nasty quality run, like offensive lineman. And yeah, the only person I can think of is like Trey. I mean, like Trent. Trent, like.
I was talking about the person that's on the team.
I know what you mean.
But Trent and them both are, because the thing about it is when they were in the game, they dominated both of them. I mean, you were going to know their name if they were to be in there. yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But outside when he walked away from the football field and you heard him talking whatever.
Yeah, I got you talking about.
It's this guy is just smart. He was just smart.
Yeah.
People didn't know how gifted he was beyond football. It's just his knowledge that God blessed him with of how he saw himself even bigger outside of football than in football, because I think that he was more impactful, even more so outside of football.
Ooh, I like
as far as what he did, because I think he was dominant in football.
Yeah.
I'm not taking it away from that, because he was that, but you have to just appreciate, if you knew him, how dominant he was outside of football.
Wow.
Also the impact that he had on the community, and just gosh, he was just a smart guy. You know how they said smart athletes?
Yeah,
that was him.
Yeah, he seemed like it though. He seemed like it from a distance. Like he
would take you on in any debate and win.
and win.
Win. So you better be well educated and know your facts, because otherwise he would have ate you alive.
So you mentioned, I do want to dive into something you said, and I kind of want to make sure this is like reaffirmed from folks who are listening. Like he has a legacy, like, and even from a football fandom, he does, but in terms of a family outside of it, he has these children that are part of his legacy. They're part of him, and when you look at him, you see Tre Johnson. And that name will go forever.
You had, Trent Williams on your mind instead of
no, because they both the same to me. Like they both have mentality. I shouldn't even said it because now the T's are gonna mess me up. But anyway, but that family name will always live forever. Like he will live forever through them. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't like you're right. You said legacy. His legacy is planted. There's nothing about like he's got it. Like for me as a fan and going able to watch highlights of him, and then anytime, but those two young men are going to see, like they're going to see the Tre Johnsons in them already. They ain't never changing. That's their legacy. They ain't never changing.
Daughters,
sons. They are going. That he's there. He will always be with them.
Well, the great thing about it is Irene and Trey allowed the kids to set their own path athletic wise. As far as what is it they want. I mean, like lacrosse. When I used to watch him post and Irene post stuff about the kids as far as sports wise, basically those kids are dominant you could tell they were going to be athletic, and he would be bragging on them too. Just the skill sets. But I can appreciate parents who allow kids to pay their own way, and that's what they've had. And we're going to be hearing about
can't wait.
Trey a lot, even as he's gone on. And I always say that what in anybody passing is, what is the legacy that you leave behind? And he's imparted so many great things in those kids that they'll be able to, and Irene, they'll be able to run with this,
yes,
and forever have him leading the way still. Gone too soon, like I said, definitely gone too soon.
Very
Always the good ones. Always the good ones.
It's always the good ones, to be real with you. It is always the good ones. I just hope, like, obviously, he gets honored appropriately. I think he will. And I do want, well, I guess my question to you is, because you had him, like, you got to talk to him, you've gotten to kind of get an idea of what his thought process. What is his thought process of this new regime compared to the old regime and these Washington players? Like, what is his thought process about where this team was going before? What was his thought process before anything?
Well, I think that they got it right with the quarterback. Is what he always talked about. And in the last show that he was on with us, he talked about, if Jaden could get healthy, that was going to be key for the Commanders' success moving forward. Because they have been struggling with finding a franchise quarterback for the longest. And finally they get a Jaden Daniels, and they had a year where it was so many injuries that hampered this team. But he thought that it was going to be a good future moving forward with, being that you had your quarterback and then you build around that. And like he said, he was always partial to the offensive line and looking at them. And again, he thought that they were headed into the right direction with the getting a Laramie Tunsil and some of the bodies that's there. But again, you can always make offensive line be better. And he thought that the key thing for any offensive line was running the ball.
Of course, because he knew how to do that. He knew how to block for that O-line.
Yeah, I mean, every offensive lineman that you talk to, talking to Sam Cosby the last couple of years when they didn't run the ball a lot, he talked about offensive linemen like to run the ball, and it's hard to block when you're always pass happy. And Tre talked about, like you said, counter gap, that you knew it was coming, but you still couldn't stop it. And that's what you like about it. But, when you think about the running backs that they had when Tre was
Stephen Davis
lineman, they had some heavy hitters.
They did, though. They did. They had, like, him as Tre Johnson, like Stephen Davis knew where his money was at.
Stephen Davis.
He knew where his money was at.
You had a Rod Cartwright. You had, I could go with the list over and over, but when you're talking about a home run hitter and whatever, you had that running back that was the home run hitter back when he was playing. So he still believed in you run the ball. Offensively, you got to have a strong running game, and that's where your bread and butter starts.
No, I totally agree. He was right. And when you have a guy like him out there on your O-line, you better want to run the football because he making lanes. Tre was making lanes
these days.
Yeah, I'm telling you. I know my man
talk about during that era of football. Yeah. The Hogs, Tre, Trent, all of them. That offense was built around running the ball.
Yes.
And they didn't have what per se when you say, oh, this is the quarterback of the future. They have multiple quarterbacks during that time frame, but what they did have consistently is the offensive line and the running game that was always on point.
Always on point. Always on point.
And Bugle, yes, they had Bugle. And that was the thing. Offensive line has to have the right coach. And Joe Bugle, to know him, also, you appreciate him. Richard Patterbone on that defensive side and Joe Bugle on the offensive line. And you think about when Joe Bugle asked the coach on that offensive line.
Yeah,
that's nasty. The reason why they were on point too.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. Even when Bugle came back, when he came back with Gibbs Point 2.0. Yeah, it was. He didn't lose a beat. Like he could still go.
Genius.
Yes, agreed. I agree. I think
and Joe Bugle was the believer of it starts up front with the offensive line and running the ball.
I'm with you. Like I'm totally with you. So, in terms of for you, can you share your first memory covering Tre Johnson? and as a player, and like what stood out to you? If you can remember something, what stood out to you?
Man, he's big and physical and fast.
Yeah, I knew it. Yeah, that's how I thought. Yeah, same thing.
Hey, I mean,
no, it's the truth though. It's the truth.
He was like when he came on. I mean, with the Commanders, you saw this baby face.
Yes,
this little baby face out of college. He looked like more so a high school face. Yeah. But the physicality and
you talking
like
about this face right here. You talking about this face
right here? Yes. That's the one, and a few more that you see. But then when you first saw him come on the scene, you thought, oh man, look at this little baby face. But then you looked at him, the frame and so forth, and then when you saw him, in game situations the first time, you was like, wow, man, this guy is fast. He's big. Ain't nobody going to get around him. But I think that what I remember most is interviewing him after a game and just the comments that he gave you, because like I said, it was solid stuff. It was no fluffy stuff. Mm-hmm. It was straight on, and I can appreciate that. And I was just a young whippersnapper just getting started. So again, like I said, I can appreciate him because I thought he was colorful then, as far as when he broke down stuff. But even more so after he came, you got him on and he had the beard and
we started,
more seasoned looking.
Yeah.
He was still colorful. He was still, I'm telling you, it was almost like a rapper in tune, breaking down football with that New York accent.
No, I could see it. Like he's Tre, I could see it. When you say it like that, I could definitely see it because he like even watching him over, watching him and then seeing him doing interviews, it just seemed like he was an intelligent individual. Like he had control of everything. You know what I mean? Like some people, you feel like as athletes, you feel like they don't have any control, right? But he has control of, like he has a control of the scrum. He has control of like everything in that situation.
Totally control over the media.
Exactly.
Let me tell you, media that covered back then, it's a greater appreciation as far as what you get now, because you could just go up to the players and just talk to them no matter what. I mean, you didn't have to go through all these things that you have to do now as far as to get a player, because they were available to anybody that wanted to talk to them. It wasn't like, okay, I got to get permission to talk to this player or else he coming to the podium. Nobody came to the podium. You just went up and talked to them one-on-one. So that's the reason why I think that you got a better appreciation in knowing the people. It's because everybody was available for you to go up. And I always gravitated over to the linemen because, again, you're getting some good stuff from them, especially the offensive linemen. And I think that's even today. But like I say, it's changed just the way that, players are made available versus you got to really know players back then when you covered them, because you just went up. Everybody had the opportunity to go get whoever they wanted to.
Mm-hmm. So
it was even better after a game was over.
After the game was over.
The offense was even better.
Oh man, Telly, thanks for the super chat. Appreciate this. Sonny, the Big Smooth, and Barry.
I was shocked about Barry Wilborn too.
Yeah, February to remember. It looks like we might have some heavily help come 2026. Hopefully, man. Yeah, raise hell. Yeah, hopefully, man. But losing Sonny, all of it. Like it's crazy. Like
Barry Wilborn. It's been a tough February as far as just shocking news about players. Unfortunate, and like I said, the Barry Wilborn situation. I was like, well, I can remember covering him too. Yeah. And Tre, I think Tre was even harder because I really knew him as a person and family, their family too. So I knew them, which makes it harder when you know someone, personally outside of just football, that they're just, but people need to remember this was a good guy. Yeah. It was a good guy award. He'd be definitely getting that because of who he was outside of football also. That to me was the most impactful part of knowing Tre Johnson.
Yeah, man. Time does fly, man. Time does fly.
Yeah, Sonny with them smoking cigars.
Yeah, yeah. That's all of that. Like it's like my fandom of watching like stuff like Sonny with George Michael doing this for sports report, like doing the Redskins report. You didn't trade and George Michael used to love Tre Johnson. It's crazy how all of it goes together. Like, I just remember sitting and watching.
But you said John Madden. Of course, John Madden was going to like a.
Oh, he loved. I know, but he loved John Madden. Loved Tre Johnson.
Because he knew he saw he could appreciate this athlete, this player that bought 100% each time he got on the football field. Like
when we were having bad years after, and then when we were having when we had bad years, he would gas up Tre. John Madden loved Tre Johnson. That's one thing for sure. Like if you ain't not even locally, you would know nationally who Tre Johnson was because of John Madden.
Hey, but you know why? Because he could appreciate the athlete that he was. When we talked about this guy was physical, he wasn't going to back down. He coming at you. He was fast. You know, most offensive linemen, if they're big, sometimes they're not fast. But
yes, that's what I'm saying. I agree.
He got off the ball fast.
Yeah.
And for anybody playing, and like I said, he played multiple positions and was good at both of them, left guard, right guard. Pick your poison.
Yeah. He was the best. He's the best for me. I can't, we can go at you. People can have their own favorites, but he was the best guard that I got to see for Washington. And I'm really trying to break it down in terms. I know there's some other high quality guards, but he was the best. No, he was the best. When healthy, he was the best. I can honestly say, when healthy, he was the best. I'm not saying tackles. But I'm saying guards. He was the best for Washington.
I think he played a little tackle too.
He could have, he was that good. He could have.
Yeah,
I know guard. He was good.
I'm not for sure at Temple, but I know I thought I read something about he played guard. He could play guard and tackle, but he played right and left guard.
Yeah.
But again, I think that he was just an all-around athlete that could play all kinds of stuff.
That's what, to your point, is something you said, and then it is what it is. I feel like God has his own purpose. But I do wish he didn't get for me personally, the selfish side of me, because I do feel if he didn't get it to because you said it, if he didn't get hurt as much, I think you're seeing a Hall of Famer, in my opinion. That's how good. And I want people, and I'm saying this for people who didn't get a chance to watch him play. That's how good he was. It's okay when people look at him. He's one of the favorite Redskins, right, or something like that. But I think it's important for people who got the opportunity to see him play to kind of say, nah, he just wasn't a good Redskin. No. He wasn't just a favorite amongst the community. He was really one of them ones at that time frame. It's just that, to your point, Donna, injuries kind of took a toll on him where you didn't get a chance to see that career go the way it could have went. Because at that time, when healthy, there wasn't that many guards, if any, that was better than Tre Johnson.
Any Sunday, you were going to hear his name.
Exactly.
And when you look at the career of offensive linemen, they are injuries all the way across, because you look at, like you said, Trent Williams, you look at some of the other, even Sam Cosby and all that, they're up front blocking. So they're getting rolled over, as far as shoulder injury, arms. But offensive linemen, to me, when you're blocking and whatever, you can easily be rolled over. And that's what happened a lot when you see injuries across the offensive line, is because somebody that took them out knee-wise. But when he was healthy,
oh my God,
you were going to have your hands full on a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, I wish that people talk about this line, talk about lines, offensive linemen, but he was one of them. I really want folks to understand, when people talk about this man and the reverence they talk about this man, and not even the way you're talking about him personally, because I think that's a very important thing that people get the opportunity to hear, right? To know how this person was as a man. Forget of anything, that comes first as a man. But for folks who just want to look at it in terms of the football side of things, right? He's more than what you think. That's how I want to say. He's even more than what you think of the football player. And I think that's something that
you weren't watching back then.
Yeah,
you missed out.
You missed out. That's what I'm saying.
Out.
You
really
better
go back and try to pull some film.
Yeah,
to see how they really dominated up front.
Yes.
As far as in his position.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, too bad he didn't play with them Hogs because it would have been even more dominant. But again, their offensive line was average during that time frame.
Yeah, but he stood out.
But he stood out
Yeah.
among those offensive linemen just because of his skill set of playing that. Because let me tell you, that position, right guard, left guard, the opposite end of the defense over the other side, they had their hands full with Tre.
Yeah, I'm telling you, there's only like, other than maybe in this, I'm being
That's
real.
what I was saying. He was drafted as a tackle, but he played switch to guard. So that tells you a little bit about him as a player as far as his skill set, because I thought I read that he was played tackle, but he played guard, left guard, and right guard when he came to the Commanders. So again, he was gifted enough that he could switch from tackle and be dominant playing right and left guard. So that tells you something about his skill set as an NFL player.
Yeah, just a dominant player, man. Like there's only one guard. There's like a few guards in that area. I think he would have probably made more all pros or whatever in that position if like Larry Allen wasn't in that same like position, right? And Larry Allen is all at that time was the best guard in football. So again, Tre Johnson is one of them. Like I just want people to understand that. But I do want to go back to like, because your experience with him personally and just having him on the show, on your shows, like what made him so dynamic on your show? Like obviously like his personality, why you keep saying like, I wish I could have had him on every week. You know what I mean? What made him so special that just say, you know what, you want to have him on that often?
Because he paid attention to the game still, and he cared about the game still, and just his knowledge of when you're asking him to break down something of what he's seen with the offensive line or in general with the game, he was able to bring it to you in a content that I told you it was that flavor of how he brought it to you.
That New York swag.
It was just that, but it was his knowledge of being able to articulate it and analyze the game that, you know, that he still loved and watched. And that's what I can appreciate about people, that they watched and they really understood what went on, that it was almost like he probably could have been a good analyst on TV or radio, because he would have added, because the thing about radio is you don't see the people. So you hear them, and to basically hear that New York swagger, you would have been able to be like, oh man, I can really appreciate that, because you can kind of like picture it and draw it. So when he broke down you know, the game on the show and everything, you got a good understanding. And the fact that he broke down a lot about the offensive line that probably you didn't see or pay attention because he played the position. So he was basically really sitting. It's almost like if you were watching film and you wanted to have an understanding of what's going on in the offense, you would get it from him. In the way he broke it down. But again, like I said, I enjoy just the accent along with just the color commentating that he added to the show. And truly, I'm going to miss calling him up to say, hey, can you be on the show? He definitely will be missed, you know, in so many ways outside of football. Just in the community in general. So again, like I said, heartbroken, still trying to grasp a hold of this is being true. Because sometimes I have to pinch myself to say, is this really for real? and when I heard about it again, I was saying, say it ain't so. Because, you know, it's like I said, it's always the good ones. It seems like that they leave too soon and whatever. But again, the thing that the people who are left behind, what they do is along with what we're doing, is we give them their flowers as far as how they impacted our lives. And he definitely impacted my life, covering him as a Washington Redskins and beyond football on the next level as far as knowing him outside of football. So I can enjoy the person that he was and what he brought to society. And I always say he impacted the world for good. That's what I look at it always. And hopefully, you know, we can say the same thing, that we want to impact the world for good. And he definitely did that in so many ways. And for the people who didn't get to know him, man, you were cheated.
Yeah. I think that's a great way to end it, because I was going to add, but you know what? Sometimes when somebody hits great points like that, there's no need to like kind of add on to it or whatnot. Like Donna pretty much kept it for what it is. But I will share. I do want to share this though, you know, just because his wife is in the chat. I just want to say thank you for giving us the opportunity to, you know, talk about him. Because obviously
shout him out.
Yeah, shout him out. Because without you and your strength, and it's a partnership, you know what I mean? He doesn't become the guy that he becomes, you know what I mean? How Donna talks about him and the great family he's built and cultivated. It doesn't happen without you. And you're like, you're the backbone for it. I mean, my prayers out for you, the entire family, you know, just in terms of this whole process, and then also in the future, and just terms of like keep going on, keep pushing through it, and also like just sharing the legacy of him. Like the prayers go out to that, and just to make sure that continues and keep up the positive vibes. I mean,
and thank you, Wally, for allowing me to come on to shout him out.
I appreciate it. I just feel like he deserves all the flowers. You know, there are guys that
and I want to throw mine out there.
Yeah, no, I'm being honest. I just think that there's sometimes when time goes on, people tend to forget like who was out there that's very impactful for many. You know what I mean? It's not always like the current group of people. You know what I mean? It's people that paved the way. You know what I mean? And he paved the way. He's a guy that to me that's very influential in my fandom as a Washington Redskin fan. Like, even though I was a fan before him, but when when his team drafted him, I instantly gravitated towards him. Like, he was instantly one of my favorite Redskins. Like, and I'm not saying it, I'm being real. Like, there's a lot of like Tre Johnson. Like, I'm like, that was a lot. Players
from each team, I said they my favorite.
Yeah, he was my favorite. That time frame.
You kind of like pick players that that you cover, and you're like, man, I really like that person because of this.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, at that time frame, it was him. It was him, and I mean, Daryl's always my favorite, so I don't ever like Daryl's always like my favorite. Like, but other than but you know, that's just because he just went through every decade. Like, he just stayed. But like, it was Tre, and at that time, Tre, Daryl, and B. Mitch and Stephen Davis.
I can't get into naming because I got
you can't do it, but me. I'm saying I can do it because I'm just telling you, like, at that time, it was Tre Johnson.
My list is so long.
I bet it is, but I'm gonna keep it simple. It was just them. It was like, it's always Daryl, because Daryl was like my favorite Redskin. It's always like Daryl, but it was Tre, Stephen Davis, B. Mitch. And that was it. Everybody else, I was like, it is what it is. But those are my favorites. And I was going to ride with them dudes. Those are my dudes. You know what I mean? So, and Stephen Davis and Tre were synonymous, right? Because Stephen Davis mostly got his big yards running behind Tre Johnson. So it was just like, he, to me, is like, I just think he deserves all the flowers. So and the reason, I don't want to put it, this is not a negative thing or anything like that, but I'm gonna put it out there. Washington better honor this dude thoroughly this season. That's what I'm better. Like, I mean, like, and I don't want a half-ass job. Like, I really want something like special for him, because I am that, again, for me, can't speak for anybody else. For me, like, that's what he meant towards my fandom in terms of how important he was during that time frame. Because in that time frame, we had some tough years prior to his like draft. We had the Heath Schuler years, and Norv was trying to figure things out. We got Brad Johnson. Tre was there working it.
Like I said, they stole him because
they stole
higher.
I'm telling you, I know.
Drafted higher.
I agree. So he is always going to have a special place in my heart as a Redskin fan, period. because in that time frame before that, it was tough. And then he came on the scene. We got better. Stephen Davis, and we became a playoff team that year. And it was like, and he was one of the main reasons. And he will always be synonymous in that time frame of my fandom than anything. That's why I want to make sure he gets all the flowers in the world.
Yeah, because if you shout out that offensive line, you're gonna mention his name first.
He's first. He's first on the line for me. Tre Johnson is first on that. On that time, he's the first player.
Especially when he was drafted with, like I said, with Ray Brown, Raleigh McKenzie, and all this going out, him coming the next era, it's going to be him.
Yes, I totally agree. Well, Donna, I appreciate you for doing this. This is dope.
And Wally, thank you for having me on late night, even though you ghosted me for a minute.
I did not ghost you. See, Donna, like full transparency, Donna.
That's because I told him I couldn't do every Friday.
That's not even the reason why.
From him the rest of the season. I was
Donna, that's not even it.
Oh my gosh, I thought I was your best friend.
Donna, you are one of my best friends. Don't do that to me, Donna. Don't trash me.
I'm messing with you, friends, but I gotta get him.
I know you do, but like true transparency, it would have been early. It wouldn't even been late. But today's my mom's birthday, and I wanted to take her out. So I was like, I was like, I'm gonna take her out, and I'm gonna come back and do this pod.
Hey, I look, mom is number one.
Exactly. So I'm just saying.
I ain't mad at you right there, because if you hadn't have done that, I would have got you.
Exactly.
I would have really called you out more. Only for you, Wally.
I appreciate it. I'm about to say, because I'm just saying, like, I would have been earlier. Just saying, I had to make sure I take care of somebody who brought me into this world.
If Anna did it, I would have had to pull out the old switches from West Virginia.
Oh no, not that. See, like, look, as like I'm Nigerian, we know about switches and stuff.
And you know how they told you go pick your own.
Yeah, pick your own.
It better not be a flimsy one. It better be one of those ones come back with a whip.
Yeah, or it hurts even more if you give a weak one, because that's how mad they get. Like,
y'all don't know nothing about that.
Anyway, man, I appreciate everybody for pulling up, man. We got an opportunity to talk about one of the great ones out there, man. I say that when I say that, I mean it. Like, I'm not just saying to say it. It's one of the great ones that I got the opportunity to watch as a fan. So, RIP to Tre Johnson. Peace and blessings to the family. And everybody, if you get the opportunity, if you can, like Donna said earlier.
Thank you for what you instilled in my life, Tre.
Yeah, definitely. And I like Donna said too. Like, I would say, I would advise going back to, like, and this is not a cheap plug, it's just a fact. You want to hear the man speak. Going back to Tony McGee Pro Football Plus, like shows on YouTube with Tre Johnson on there. Go back and try to search those things out, find his clips. Donna has clips out there. Make sure you can kind of hear what she's talking about, and just the person, just to hear the person himself, and just to see like how a quality person, how intelligent this guy. It like I don't like saying was, like, because I believe his spirit is always out there and present. How the person is. And
it's one show they gotta go back. It's a couple years back when Tre and Fred Smoot was on together. I'm gonna try to pull it and post that.
Please pull it and post it.
That was hilarious.
Yeah, please. And then also, like, just as a football fan, I advise if you can, because I was trying to find some just to kind of refresh, like, because I can only go off of like my fandom and what I remember. But I advise people to go back and, like, if they can find just clips of him playing football, man, like, just go back, man, and watch it, because yeah, man, it's a different vibe, man.
Then they'll understand what we were saying.
Yeah, it's a different vibe. Like, it really is a different vibe. But anyway, I appreciate everybody for pulling up. You guys are dope. I always appreciate Donna. Appreciate Irene for pulling up, and during this, during this time, like, just to pull up and listen. I appreciate that. Anyway, you've been listening to the Urban Sports Scene for ages. A Yiddig Deuces. We are out. Peace.